We'll have a review of minutes. We'll have public comment. We'll have new business, which includes 2022 meeting schedule, the director's report, which includes TIC education, COVID updates, and the Winchester Coalition for Safer Community update. And then we will have adjournment. So with that, we can go into the reorganization of the board.
I move to nominate Ruth Martin as chair of the board.
I second. Okay. So not unexpected, obviously, but just unprecedented. And I'd just like to put a comment on the record that I don't believe that there's been a chair of a board in town that I know of, and please speak differently, Jen, if you think so, that has not had any experience on the board or had any role on the board prior to being elected chair to a board. So I just wanted to make sure that we understood, because as citizens of Winchester, I think that we all would like some experience and tenure under our belts as we elect a chair to a board that has a lot of important issues to deal with.
So we have a motion that's seconded. We're now in discussion. Right?
So I will just comment that I think in a board of three, my hope is, as all elected officials, that we'll be working together and collaboratively to try to listen to the citizens, as well as listen to our constituents and the people in town that have health-related concerns. And I think it's important to also have people that are organized, set agendas, and I think all of us could do it. Ruth comes to us not from inexperience maybe on the actual Board of Health, but has been on other town commissions and has run other meetings, and obviously has experience that would, I think, allow us to sort of put trust and faith in her as being a good board chair in terms of setting agendas and making sure that we can all work collaboratively.
And I agree. I think that's great. And I think that what I've done since I've come on this board, I tried to build consensus. And I think I have a history of that, and I would be more than happy to support Ruth as the chair. I just would like to say that it's without precedence.
Hi, Casey. I think we need to open the microphone because the Zoom people cannot hear you. Somebody message me. I don't know how.
People can hear. I'm getting
Okay,
text.
sure. Yeah, it's just
People can hear what's happening. Trust me.
Yeah.
Lots of people. Okay, so great. I'd love to vote you chair. How do we go about doing that?
Yeah,
Right.
Well, the first, second, and now you just a roll call vote.
Okay, so I.
Aye.
Great. I look so forward. I know you guys didn't respond to my email welcoming you to the board, but I hope going forward that we can really work together, because that is my goal.
absolutely is my goal, and my
Yes.
style is very collaborative as it shares. I really do look forward to building agendas collaborative.
I really hope to.
Yeah.
It will be great.
Do we now move to voting the vice chair?
I would like to nominate Maureen Pimentel as vice chair of the board.
No, I think you do a better job. I think you should do it. I'd like to vote Greg as the second vice chair.
So there's a motion and a second,
Oh, then we can
And-
discuss.
and then there's a second motion.
So let's close out the first motion. If you two would like to vote me the chair, vice chair, go ahead. If not, then I recommend that Greg be the vice chair.
I appreciate that. I would like to say, if you are willing to continue, I absolutely would really endorse that. I think it'd be wonderful to have your expertise going forward, and in terms of the community, to also have that lens. And that-
Yeah, no, I think I'm just a worker bee, and I'm really just here to serve the community, and I don't need a title next to my name. I never had. So I really think Greg would be a better person for this.
Um,
Are you not sure what to do?
No,
I can
I'm pausing. I
Okay.
sometimes pause. Maureen, I would like to second that. I'm not sure, I've lost a little bit track. There's a motion. I'd love to second that if we
Great.
have it for you to be chair.
Vice chair.
Vice chair, thank you. And I guess we move to a roll call vote. If we are done with discussion.
Great.
I mean, I don't know, is there something else to be said?
I think, Maureen, to your point about experience and having been on the board for an extra year, I think we've talked about whether or not there's a need for a vice chair at all. So when in a board of three, it's hard to, there's no actual statutory reason to have a vice chair.
Yeah, it's not in Robert's rules. So, I mean, I think we can even just not
So
have
we
a
can
vice
choose
chair.
not to have a vice chair as well. And so that would be totally fine with me, actually. And
Yeah, great. Let's not do it.
Jack.
Sorry if I may.
Yes,
We created the spot of vice chair a couple of years ago, only because in the absence of the chair is unreachable, and I need someone, that one person to go to. It's
much easier, more streamlined to do it one person rather than the two remaining, but obviously prior to that, I had no risk here, but it's my
Nick, is
thoughts.
there,
But not.
so, again, would you like to nominate Greg? And I will nominate Greg to be vice chair. Great. And is that a second?
Sure.
Roll call vote. please.
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, but-
I do it, and Jen warned me about this. We have to have discussion first. So, before the roll call vote. Greg, are you willing to serve in that role? And is there further discussion?
I'm happy to serve.
Great. So roll call vote is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Excellent. So thank you very much. And thank you. I really do appreciate. I understand this is a challenging transition. And I really, really do appreciate everyone, including the public, working with us as we move into getting the business of the Board of Health done. So on our agenda, following this, we certainly do have to review the minutes, and Maureen, that will be you.
Yes, since you both were not on the board during those,
Yep.
Regina, the minutes from 11/8/21, 12/14/21, 12/23/21, and 2/17/22, I would vote into record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. And so now we move on to public comment, and
So do we start with comment on people in the room or online? I think maybe why don't we start with people in the room? If anyone wants to make a public comment, we want to limit it to 2 to 3 minutes for any comment.
I have
so,
a comment.
hey, and just one second, excuse me. So just to remind the public that if you could please state your name and your address, and comments are limited to 3 minutes, we decided. And depending on how many there are, often total amount of comments are limited to 10 minutes. We'll extend ourselves to the max we possibly can, because it looks like there's a very large number of people both online, writing, and here, and we do want to hear from as many people as possible. So welcome, and Regina.
You're gonna start with the room?
Let's start with
Start
the
with the
room,
room.
and then for folks on Zoom, I would say there's a raise hand function, so I would just keep a raise hand function if you would like to make a public comment. Go ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Name and address.
Okay, I am a resident living in 51 West Street. My name is Yaping Zhang. Okay, I came here, I think this is a newly elected, 2 members are, one is re-elected, the other is newly elected, okay. I think everybody should know that, okay, every elected official is under some insurance liability. So everyone should work for residents of the town. Every decision you made should be based on public health data. That's just my comment, and this is just a copy I got. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room? No public comment?
Well, I'm not from Winchester, I'm from neighboring Arlington.
And your name
Yes, John.
and your
John
address?
Is on Franklin Street,
John and the last name?
Hydro.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, I'm just, I'm here in the interest as we have done in Arlington of issues of past mandates and so forth. We're very concerned that it's done with our children. And, I don't know if it's on the agenda, but I'm interested in this town because it's next to my town. I know that sometimes in my town, we get run, but with people forcing us with masks. And I know you don't probably all feel like that as Board of Health members, but I'm concerned if it should come up, and other neighboring towns as well. So it's just that I'm here for that reason.
Anyone else in the room?
Okay, Pamela Court.
Hi, thank you. Sorry about that little blip. I wanted to congratulate the new members of the board. It's very exciting to see 3 highly competent people on that board. I'm really looking forward to the interesting questions and the probing questions that are going to get asked when presentations are made. And really looking forward to this year. So I wanted to say thank you to all of you. I also want to say, and I'm glad that I'm one of the first people speaking, I want to point out that nowhere on your agenda is there any indication that there will be a vote on the mask mandate. There have been a lot of crazy things and people getting whipped into a frenzy. So please, if you could confirm that that is not on your agenda and not up for discussion, I think that's going to be a very helpful thing for folks to know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes, maybe you missed the beginning when Ms. Pimentel read the agenda. And yes, absolutely, that is not on for today.
Judah Phillips.
Hey, this is Judah Phillips. I live on Oneida Road in Winchester. And I wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the Board of Health. And congrats to the 2 new members, and thanks to Jen and everyone who's in town government for all their hard work shepherding us through the pandemic. You know, there's many different topics to address, but my main concern is around the lack of consistent and available data about the COVID spread in schools. You know, and I don't know what the Board of Health can do to address that. But with the data we have, you know, the secondary concern I have, which is perhaps more important, is the data from this week. You know, there are now 39 cases. I believe the last week there were 12. So, you know, there's 200+% rise in cases week over week in schools, with, you know, greater than a 500% increase, 900% in Ambrose to be precise, if the data on the dashboard is perceived to be accurate, and Ambrose alone. So I know we're not here to address the mask mandate or to discuss the merits or the validity of mask optional policies or even the data research. I'm wondering, what metric does the town need to exceed in terms of cases in schools and rate of spread to put that topic back on the agenda? So that's the question I have for the Board of Health. With that context of what my concerns are. Is it 200% week over week rise, with cases moving from 12 to 39 insufficient? Is a 900% rise in Ambrose insufficient? And if so, what is sufficient? And what metric are we going to use in the town? Thanks.
And thank you for your comment. I'm sorry that I'm looking around. I'm not quite sure where the angle of the camera is. I don't mean to be turning my head.
It looks right at you, actually.
When
This is a
I'm-
smart device.
This
It's looking
device
right at
here.
you. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Phillips, for your comments. And are there more? Regina?
Susan DeLeo. Susan DeLeo. She left. Oh, nope, she's back.
Hi, this is Susan DeLeo. Can you hear me now okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Hi, Susan DeLeo, 24 Taft Drive. Thank you so much for taking my comment. I would just like to comment on the unprecedented move to elect or to nominate a chair who has had no experience on this board before, as Ms. Pimentel noted. And I believe I see this as a politicization of the board, which both of the new board members in their comments and debates and comments to the public while campaigning noted that the Board of Health should not be political. And this is a highly political move as your first move as members of the Board of Health. Thank you.
And thank you for your comments.
No other hands are raised. Oh, we have a new one. Sorry. Erica Hoffman.
Hi, thank you. Erica Hoffman, 7 Fairlane Terrace in Winchester. I would like to agree with Ms. DeLeo that I feel like this is a very unprecedented thing that's happened about appointing a chair to the board Board of Health who has never been on the Board of Health. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, she doesn't know how things are run, and you need some expertise about that. I also want to give you some feedback. Sorry, my timer's going off for the stove. That my son is a second grader at VO, and we just had his IEP meeting this week, and they were saying that with the masks being off, they can now see when he gets upset, when he's like gonna start, his face starts to turn down. And they said that has been amazingly useful for him and for the teachers and the aides that work with him. Because, you know, obviously with the mask on before, they could only see a quarter of his face. So, you know, he is fully vaccinated. All of our children are fully vaccinated. So I don't feel like we should put our children back into masks like that previous person was saying. And if, you know, or be a mask mandate. So it's optional for now for kids to wear masks, and that it's fine, but I don't think it should be mandated. Thank you. And my kids will not be wearing a mask. Even if it becomes mandated again, I'm sorry, but they will not wear a mask.
GS.
GS.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, George Steinberg on Perkins Street. I just wanted to add, I agree with Erica, and the kids need to never be masked again. It's too detrimental to their speech development. It's detrimental to their dental health, and it can cause hypoxia. These masks are just terrible for kids growing up. We can't normalize this. And I would add that we need to make sure that they never come back again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is that it?
That is it for hands raised.
Very good.
No, Monica Ross has her hand up.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, and someone else is raising their actual hand.
Okay.
It's weird.
All right, we see you, Michael. Monica Ross.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yes, thank you. My name is Monica Ross, 94 Ridge Street. I just wanted to echo what Ms. DeLeo said previously about nominating a new chair. At this point, we're talking about working collaboratively, and I just don't think that's the right move right now. And I also want to comment on the masks. Our kids have dealt with silent lunches, canceled recesses, canceled gym, canceled sports, play dates, proms, graduations, birthday parties. Our kids have suffered a lot to protect all of us from what was once a very scary time when people were dying from COVID. We're at the end of the Omicron wave now. The virus has weakened. Deaths, hospitalizations, and infections have fallen drastically. Continuing to require masks is continuing to promote fear among our children. And this is not what our kids need right now. This virus is never going away, and there will always be people at high risk, and we will do all we can to protect those people. But right now, the best thing that we can do is maintain an optional mask mandate. For those who feel the need to continue to protect themselves, there are now highly effective masks available that provide protection despite what others around them are doing. I strongly urge you to not put the mask mandate back in place and keep it optional so that those who feel comfortable not wearing the masks are able to do that. And those that want to wear the mask, that is their choice. This is what we had voted on. And I think that this needs to continue to stay in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross.
So is Michael Burns still on? Yep. Yeah, but he's been raising his hand. Literally.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. I wanted to echo, I think it was Judah that mentioned earlier, he was citing some stats around cases, but he noted the need for metrics that you're going to follow, and I couldn't agree more. I completely disagree with where he was going with the stats he was citing. But I think that's part of the issue. Is some people are looking at cases, there's hospitalizations, there's deaths, there's studies out there on the effectiveness of masks and limiting the spread in schools. And I would just ask that the Board of Health do their due diligence and present the community with whatever metrics they are that you'd like to follow, so that everyone is aware and they're not seen, decisions aren't seen as being made just on how 3 people end up voting, right? Like it would seem easy enough to identify the metrics that you're going to follow so that we're all aware when a change might take place.
Thank you.
Shara Stone.
Hi, this is actually that's my another account. This is the Min Q from 17 Lockwell Street. I personally will wear masks in some of the locations, but I think we should keep the wearing mask as not mandate. It should be optional, even if I personally prefer to wear masks. So I think it's good to have people, some people may prefer not wearing, some people prefer wearing, and we should give people the options. And I opt that to be mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kramer.
Christina Ronan.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Christina Ronan, 129 Cambridge Street. Thank you for allowing me to comment. I want to say congratulations to the 2 new candidates who have now joined the board. I believe that the 2 candidates, and frankly all the candidates who were running, all ran on the guise of trying to end the divisiveness that's really been present in this town. I'm pretty sure that the 2 candidates elected did that. So I guess my concern that I wanted to express today is we have a board chair who's been serving through unprecedented times, Ms. Pimentel. She's dealt with issues that probably no one on this Board of Health thought that they would have to encounter. And yet I believe there's attempts now to remove her as that chair. And I think that's pretty tough, especially if we're all trying to work together to do what's best for the town of Winchester. Whether, I know there's been a lot of public comment on whether there should be mask reinstatements or not have mask reinstatements, but well, I know that's what we're getting to. And I think that this issue really makes me wonder what's coming next. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Goodrich.
Hi, Paul Goodrich, 4 Lachlan Road. I just would like to know, one, thank you guys all for serving. I know it's tough to be a public servant, but real quick, just if you could, tell me why Maureen's not the chair? Like, what are your reasonings for Ruth getting it and you guys choosing Ruth over Maureen? Thanks.
Thank you for your comments.
Anybody else want to, with a raised hand that has not been approached? No hands are raised.
Thank you, Regina. And thank everyone. And I would like to thank very much both the public here in the room, the folks who have spoken via email, via Zoom here, and to acknowledge also that very late in the day today, we got a large number of emails. And I just want to thank the public for those as well. And yes, I very much appreciate the input on that. As Ms. Pimentel noted at the beginning, the issue of masking or not is not on today's agenda. However, all of this public comment will certainly carry forward for our discussion, which we'll probably have someday next week, to be determined which day. And I hope that the public hears us, that we will be putting all of the issues on the table and having a robust discussion around that with no preconceived notions. And we are in a very unique place today, which is very different than we were last summer, last December, or even 2 weeks ago. So we will be approaching this open-minded and listening to all of the input. So I thank the public very much for the excessive, not excessive, I mean, to
Recording
say,
in progress.
the great amount of input this afternoon.
Has
With
been
that,
recording.
Steve has his hand up.
Public comments closed.
Oh, okay.
with
Can I ask just one clarifying question?
Yes,
Just when you said we're in a different place December versus July versus whatever versus 2 weeks ago, I just didn't know if you could explain to the public, are we in a better place or a worse place than 2 weeks ago? Or same? I'm just
yeah.
trying to clarify that for people
Yeah.
listening.
just different. And so we'll.
Different
open-
how though?
We'll open that up on Monday for.
Well,
when
I
it's on
think
the agenda.
we're gonna get it on the agenda later on, the COVID update from Jen. So is that
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're referring to? So I think.
No, I was clarifying what,
okay.
I'm trying to understand what was being said, that's all.
So we've closed public comment. We are now moving on to new business. And the first order of business is a 2022 meeting schedule. We have a desire from the staff for us to be able to meet whenever possible on Mondays. And that certainly works, I think, for myself. Is there a proposal by anyone for when we might like to establish a regular rotation? Would you like, for example, to be the second and fourth Mondays of the month going forward?
My suggestion is that every 2 weeks, at least for the next couple of months, in order to sort of establish ourselves as a new board working at 3. I think there are some issues, both sort of active as well as proactive and future issues that we're going to discuss and work with Jen and the health department about. And so I think having meetings scheduled on a regular basis just allows us to make sure that we're getting through all the business that we need to. And then I think we can reassess the schedule sort of as we get to the summer. I think in summertime, all meetings in all our lives tend to be a little bit less frequent, but I would recommend that we at least set a schedule, and I think Mondays is fine at the cadence of every 2 weeks.
Maureen, how do you feel about that?
That's fine. We've sort of dictated our meetings depending on what was needed. So whether that was weekly, twice weekly, monthly, et cetera. So if you'd like to set twice monthly, that's great with me. I defer to Jen. I know how busy she is, so I would take her input.
Open to that. That's another discipline. I think it's a great idea for us to schedule it, as Greg has said, every 2 weeks for a little while until we have the business of the board underway, and then consider going to monthly. However, as you've pointed out, as needed, if the situation arises and we need to meet more frequently, we certainly only need to abide by the OML 48 open meeting law of 48 hours notice, and we can meet as needed. If it's more frequent, every other week.
And I'll just make a quick comment, though. I know that the other board members and Jen have heard this over email. We've been planning this meeting. I think it's very important that we continue to have a hybrid format for these meetings, including a Zoom option, at least for now. It's still allowable by the state to have a hybrid format to allow for participation from the community. I think given sort of the multiple issues that we do discuss, I think I want to make sure that we're open and transparent, able to hear from the community, not just the people that can come to the room. So I think obviously as evidenced by today, a lot of people coming on Zoom, I think as long as we have technology to do so, we should continue to do so.
Yeah, I totally support that as well.
Okay.
It's great. We're certainly want to.
I love to hear the public talking. I think it's great.
Thank you. All right, so that would, what we need to set our first meeting in the 2 week cycle, which would be Monday, the 28th, if that works for folks. And I think 4:30 was a time Jen that was floated.
Well, Jen already posted that,
Yes.
so that's posted.
Oh, that is posted.
Yeah,
Okay,
Jen
great.
posted that. She emailed us.
Great.
So Monday's posted.
Okay. Is there any? 4:30. 4:30. Terrific. Still catching up with all the emails that. Yeah.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
I know I'm not, just that, people emailing after the cutoff, they can't expect for the emails to always be able to get here. And I just want to make you know, because I know some weren't able to, because I see that they were here, but they were well after the cutoff. And so I just want to make sure if they're not, you know, they will all be addressed, forwarded to all board members, but
That's a good point, Gina.
That's actually a good
because-
point because some of them actually say public comment for today's meeting.
right.
So
So
do
if
they
they
need
were
to
to
be
be
read?
vote and they miss the cutoff, that would not be taken into account. So that's a very good point.
But do these
Sorry.
need to be read if they're public comment for this meeting?
No.
It should be.
And it's a good place in the record. I mean, it's a public,
We'll enter them in this. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah,
entered. I
yeah.
just didn't know if they needed to be read. That was all.
Right, it just, they were all, most of them were afterwards and.
Yeah, no, this is the first time we've had this,
Yeah.
because we've been on Zoom.
Yeah,
Very good.
thank you, sorry.
We have an item on the agenda, collaboration with other boards. Is that something you wanted to address, Greg, at this time, or do you want to defer that?
I'd like to address that actually, as a sort of opening sort of conversation with our board. One of the things that,
Is that
again, I'm gonna.
Mondays? Is that Monday's agenda?
No, this is
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, you know, as someone new to elected office, someone new in town in terms of town government, I think it's important for me to start learning about what other boards are doing, what other organizations are doing within the town. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to have open communication and collaboration and discussions with other boards and not just have them sort of on the side. And so I think in particular, when things that are relevant to the Board of Health, I think the most important and most pressing group that we do want to be talking to, and it was evidenced by the public comments today, is people in the school department and on the school committee. And I think there are going to be topics that come up around health policies for the schools. And clearly the public is interested in engaging in this discussion as well. And I think the best way to engage that is to start really thinking about more of at least one opportunity to have a meeting with the school committee, some kind of a joint meeting where we can discuss and have an agenda set where we talk about the health related issues and policies that are affecting the schools. So I'm just going to propose that we reach out to the school committee chair when there's a chair for the new committee to convene, and perhaps the superintendent to think about planning something like that. I also think in response to the comments that were made around the school dashboard and around the data that the school is getting, I think we as the Board of Health have a job to understand where that data is coming from, how that dashboard is created, because we can't really provide input on policy as well as procedures around school without understanding the data first. And I totally acknowledge that there's many ways to collect data and there's many ways and many measures that could be done. The state is collecting things, and I want to applaud the prior Board of Health as well as our health department director for doing a great job with the town dashboard in terms of getting the data that comes from the state at the town-wide level in terms of cases for COVID, in terms of vaccination rates and all the things that I think we will be discussing moving forward. But the school dashboard I know has been sort of created separately, and there's differences and there's different realities in terms of understanding where that data is coming from. I think as a Board of Health is really important for us to also be learning about where that data comes from and understanding it so we can help the public understand the data as well, particularly the concerned public and the parents that have been raising questions about school policies. And so I would recommend, and I would hope that we can reach out to the school committee and or the school department to find out more about that data dashboard. And I think we can continue that conversation on Monday, but I think that kind of collaborative work is important. I also think it's important for us to make sure that we have a liaison with this newly formed select board. I mean, they're obviously setting townwide policies. We want to make sure that they're abreast of what we're thinking and that they're abreast of what we're thinking. And I think it's just an important message to send that we're not going to be working here in isolation, that we want to really be working collaboratively. Whether that means joint meetings or having each of us liaise with certain boards and chairs, we can talk about how the best to do that, but I would strongly recommend that we think about that as a group of three.
Maureen, your thoughts on Craig's proposal?
I think it's great. I think that I recommended all the same things when I came out to the board. I think that I attended as many school committee and select board meetings as I could and reported back to this board. I think it's wonderful. I do feel like I have a little bit of input on the school dashboard, which I can share with you because I think that we know where that data is coming from and how that data comes to the school. And the school nursing aspect of things, because I was helping school nursing for a long time. So I do feel like that information is probably a little clearer to us, but I would love to discuss on Monday how to make it a little clearer to all.
Sure. And I mean, I just want to know, again, being new to sort of these boards, is this something that I need to learn about at a public meeting, or can we just set up a time where you can walk me through how the data is collected in the dashboard?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
Yeah, Jen is our guru. So whenever you want to know anything, Jen Murphy is your woman, as anyone in town knows.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm totally in agreement with the concept, and I thank you, Maureen. I look forward on Monday to.
Yeah,
your
and the
further-
only other thing I do want to say is Jen does an amazing job of going to both the select board and the school committee to speak to them on behalf of the Department of Public Health with our data and our information, and to collect data back from them that would be sort of relevant or to the Board of Health. So I do think that she, it may not be fully understood, but she does a great job liaising and working hard to make sure that all the health information across the departments are sort of synthesized and it's a clear message.
Thank you. And before we close that out, I want to say also that the schools clearly are a critically important part of what we're dealing with and the dashboards that we're looking at during the pandemic. However, we are responsible for almost 23,000 people in town, and that includes all age groups. And I have heard even today from 2 members who are seniors in the town who are feeling a little bit like they're overlooked in the rush to deal with the concerns of the pandemic on our school-age children. So I would suggest that we also plan in the very near future collaboration with a wide range of boards, committees, the Council on Aging. There's a number of other groups in town other than just the school committee and the select board. Those are our definite allies, partners, and protecting the public health, but we want to protect all citizens and all residents. And the chamber, we want to be listening to our business community. So we have a large number of a large amount of collaboration and outlook that we engage with.
and I think those kind of discussions happening early on are going to be important as we set an agenda for what we want to accomplish as a board for the next coming year. And I think that includes thinking about COVID, but it's not the only thing we're going to be dealing with. I mean, we're going to be dealing with other things as well. And it's important for us to recognize that the COVID pandemic is not yet over, but it's certainly transitioning into a different type of phase. And we need to think about it and be thinking about what we want to be messaging to the public, what we want to be doing as a board, and how we want to work with all the organizations around town. But we obviously have other issues. We have issues around the usual health related concerns related to flu vaccines every year, health screenings of certain types, environmental impacts on that health. There's a lot of things that we will need to be thinking about. Mental health came up a lot when we were sort of thinking about this campaign, and I think we're going to need to think about working with the coalition very closely on some of the efforts as we're sort of getting through our agenda for the year. And so I think these kind of communications to me is really just about setting agendas and listening and hearing from different informed parties in communities.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on, if we could, to the next item, which is a director's report on fixed COVID and the coalition. Thank you.
One thing we just skipped over is there's a vote that you have to take for several pieces to it, just essentially adopting various provisions within the public health statute. So this was, I can hand this out. Right? Yeah, you have it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We just
So-
lost everything.
No, it's
There you
there.
are.
Yeah, we
Is it?
Still recording.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Someone's looking to be admitted.
sorry.
So if you don't mind, so there are a couple pieces to this, but if you could
just
take
threw
it
me.
all as one motion. I won't read it all, the various pieces, but take it as one motion and then one vote.
Very good.
Makes sense. So, the Board of Health, acting in accordance with Chapter 111, Section 30 of the Mass General Laws, vote to appoint Jennifer Murphy as director. And again, this particular vote is just more of a formality, but it sort of sets things in motion for the year. The Board of Health, acting in accordance with Chapter 111, Section 30 of Mass General Laws, vote to appoint Dr. Catherine Seller as the Board of Health physician. Acting in accordance with Chapter 129, Section 15 of Mass General Laws, vote to appoint Edward O'Connell as Inspector of Animals, subject to the approval of the Director of Animal Health at the Department of Agriculture. Acting in accordance with Chapter 111, Section 30 of Mass General Law, vote to appoint Jennifer Murphy, Director, or any board member to act for the Board of Health in case of an emergency if the board cannot conveniently assemble, and in each case shall within 48 hours report the action to the full board for its approval, and each shall be directly responsible to the full board under the direction and control of the board members collectively. Acting in accordance with Chapter 114, Section 45 of Mass General Law, appoint following individuals to be authorized to issue burial permits: Jennifer Murphy, Regina Capone, and Karen DeCampo. Karen DeCampo is a public health nurse, and any person authorized by the Department of Public Health. Acting in accordance with Chapter 111, Section 113 of Mass General Law, vote to appoint the Director of Public Health Nurse, Administrative Secretary, again, Jennifer Murphy, Karen DeCampo, Regina Capone, to give notice to the State Department of Public Health of all diseases dangerous to the public health occurring in Winchester. So,
Okay, please correct me if I have the wording here wrong. I think it probably is something like moved and seconded that the Board of Health approved these multiple actions as read by our Health Director, Jen Murphy.
yeah, you can make the motion, someone could second it.
Okay, yeah, so I make that motion.
You're the chair.
So the motion has been made, right? We need a second now.
Second.
And a roll call vote.
Aye.
Dr. Smith is on.
Aye.
Aye, for Ms. Pimentel, and aye for Ms. Charnocky as well. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Give you a brief update. Okay, upcoming events, we'll start with that, some good news. Upcoming events sponsored by the Health Department, held by the Health Department. We're starting our tick education again. Ticks are out early this year. Obviously, we've had a lot of warm days, so we are going to be holding a Be Tick Smart symposium with Larry Dapsis. He's an entomologist, very renowned gentleman, great speaker, gives you some very practical information about ticks and tick-borne pathogens. Most people are familiar with Lyme disease, but there are other pathogens ticks carry that can transmit to humans: anaplasmosis, babesiosis, others. So he's a very entertaining speaker, very informative. This will be held via Zoom, so anyone can tune in. We'll also record it, and WinCam will be able to post that for us, hopefully. And it will be a Q&A format as well. So please, everybody, tune in and learn how to prevent tick bites. We will also be subsidizing tick testing again this year. We have received money from Winchester Hospital for this, so that if you are a resident in town and you find a tick on yourself or an animal, you'll be able to submit that for a very reduced cost to a laboratory that we have contracted with. So that's a very good program. They'll analyze it for pathogens and be able to let you know if in fact the tick that was attached to you carries any of those pathogens. Other events coming up, I've said that in the past, but since we have a large audience, it bears repeating. We have Medication Take Back Day, as most people know, sponsored by the coalition as well as the police department. That will be on April 30th. And we'll be pushing out all these promotions of these events, and hopefully many residents will take part in that. But you could bring your unused medications to Medication Take Back Day. And I believe we'll also collect sharps on that day as well. As everyone knows, we have 2 kiosks at the police station open 24/7 for meds and sharps that residents can take advantage of. But this tends to be a popular day where we collect a lot of both of those, actually. So we will also be having a household hazardous waste collection day at the DPW yard, and that'll be on May 7th, 9 to 12. We will be putting out information about what you can and cannot bring on that day. I know sometimes people save up stuff over months and empty out their garage. on that day. So that'll be available in May, and we'll hopefully hold another one in October. We've boosted that to twice a year. We have 2 upcoming COVID vaccination clinics. These will be Pfizer clinics. One will be Monday, April 11th at the high school cafeteria. That'll be for ages 5+. We're hoping to capture people who need first, second, or booster doses, ages 5 and above. And so hopefully people will take advantage of that. I know demand is waning, but really encourage anyone in that age group to please take advantage of that. And Karen DeCampo, our public health nurse, is spearheading that, as well as our other COVID clinic, which will be at the Jenks Center. It's a booster only clinic. As most people know, at the Jenks Center, you have to be fully vaccinated or have 2 doses in order to enter the Jenks Center. That's why it's a booster only clinic, but I do feel that we can improve our booster vaccination rate amongst seniors, amongst really our entire population, but especially our senior population who is most vulnerable. I know that the Jenks Center will do their best to promote that as well for us. And that clinic at the Jenks will be ages 12+. And again, only Pfizer available. We're going to have around the April school vacation break, both before and after, COVID testing clinics. So we have 2 dates set. The links to register or pre-register are not available yet, but they will be on our COVID webpage on the town website, winchester.us. So just take note of that, both before Easter and spring break vacation, as well as after, and both events are free. So we encourage all residents or anyone working in Winchester to take advantage of that. Some other things we are working on, the farmers market, as everyone knows, is coming up, which is exciting. And we work closely with the market to get their food vendors up and running in a safe manner. There's high demand for people to actually serve food. So it's not just your typical fruits and vegetables, whole produce available, but more food preparation, which is more time intensive for our office, which is why we're trying to produce a guidance stock to hopefully steer people in and get them up and running in a safe manner. Now, just jumping into briefly a COVID update, Ruth, do you want me to just touch on that briefly? I know potentially we're going to.
I would, yeah, please.
Yeah.
Do this we can.
Yep, sure. So as everyone knows, information about the Omicron subvariant has been in the news quite a bit. Recently on a Department of Public Health forum that they had with local public health, they gave out a bit of data, which is interesting. You'll see that they claim the CDC estimates approximately 35% of cases in Massachusetts are due to the subvariant BA2, but Mass DPH, because of the local sequencing that we do, which is about 1/3 of all cases or official cases, they estimate 50%, maybe even slightly higher than that, of all cases, official cases right now, are because of the subvariant. And this is from our dashboard. As everyone knows, it's updated every Monday. However, I did have it updated today just to go back a few weeks back to the beginning of 2022, because I think it just gives some perspective of January until now. Gina, is there anyone to move that?
Yep, sorry.
Where's this chart from?
No,
The
that's a
origins of
question.
this chart.
I'm sorry, it's during the report and during the meeting, members of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I know you got that. Keep going, Jim.
So, yep, to reiterate, so the COVID dashboard on winchester.us will provide this information. And it's updated every Monday. So this is a week by week case count. Again, PCR and antigen collected at an official testing site. We have no data that comes through the state to us about home testing. Only the school dashboard provides self-testing data that is reported by the school community to the state website, to the school website. This is month by month breakdown. As you can see, a dramatic decrease from the beginning of the year in February. And our positivity rate, which was just updated to 319. shows that we're slightly higher than the surrounding communities, a little bit higher than the state positivity percentage. But we, we are still in the context of things in a better spot than where we were certainly at the beginning of the year.
Jen, do you have any ideas about why that positivity rate is high?
So if you notice trends in behavior, so February break is a big travel time for this community. Now, I don't know in comparison to other communities, I can only speak for our community, but I do know a lot of travel happens and a lot of gathering happens. So we saw that as well around Easter and April break. And it wasn't until after the April break we saw a dramatic, even more marked decline in cases. So just speaking about behaviors, obviously there's a lot more context to where we were in 2021 to where we are now. But that's what I anticipate seeing. But again, that's just my.
No, I mean, you've been following this data very closely. So I guess the question is, and then in terms of testing, it's not that the denominator in testing really has changed that much.
It has decreased certainly. Yep, it has. Yep, there's no question. In fact, on our website, you will see, I guess I didn't include here on my slide, the actual number of positive cases out of the total number of tests taken, but it has declined quite a bit. So
these are tests reported to the state, and so they didn't have to happen in the town of Winchester.
These are Winchester residents.
Yeah, so they could have had their tests in Boston or Burlington or Arlington. Okay, just a point of clarification.
Just of note, the state did revise their definition of a COVID death. We stopped reporting death data at the end of December, maybe early January. We had 26 COVID attributable deaths on our dashboard. The state actually had us at 48, they recently told us, but have since even revised that and scaled that further back because of their new definition, which really tightens the timeline from diagnosis to death. And so we are now officially, since March of 2020 until March of now, we have 34 official COVID attributable deaths. And so how many vaccinations? This is just a snapshot of some data for calendar year 2021. That's how many total vaccines we've given out for COVID. We did 83 individual home visits, which was quite an undertaking. And I just want to say thank you to our public health nursing team for getting that done. And that effort doesn't stop. That continues. If we have someone call who is immobile or unable to otherwise get out of home to get a vaccine, we will happily go there. We do that for COVID. We also do that for flu as well. So if anyone has family members who are at home and unable to leave, please do contact Karen at our office, and we will certainly add you to our list and make an effort to get there. We will, in 2021, this is just to give you some data on how many people were actually tested at our clinics we held here at Town Hall. The number of tests, well over 3,000 PCR tests collected here and analyzed, and that effort will continue. We did have at-home antigen tests. The town ordered 15,000 take-home tests. They have now all been given out thanks to Election Day. We gave out the remaining 10 cases, so an additional 900 tests were given out. So we have a few left in the health department. If anyone from the public still would like an at-home test, please reach out and contact us, and we're happy to give you some. We did supply the school with some as well. The school nurses have some. So for those children who are not enrolled, haven't opted into the surveillance program or the symptomatic Dynex testing, the nurse can hand out a test to that family. So that's all I had. We can certainly get into more data if you like. I didn't attach a link to the state dashboard. I figured we may get into more detail in Monday, and happy to provide more data at that time.
Thanks, Jen. I mean, I think you mentioned briefly the vaccine clinics that are coming up, and I think in anticipation of those, we might want to just review the vaccine status of our population on Monday, because I think there will be some opportunity, as you mentioned, for some targeted outreach for particular groups.
Yes, certainly. And that is on our dashboard, so everyone knows if they want to take a look at our vaccination status of our population.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Sure. Do you want to see your?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Thank you. Scott Butler reporting for the Winchester Coalition for Safe Community. Just some things to share with upcoming programming next week on March 30th. We are doing a program presentation by Dr. Aaron Weiner, not to be confused with our own Richard Warner. He is partnering with our Community Resource Officer, Mike DeRosa, and our program is Sex, Drugs, and Netflix. All the influencers that are now coming at our kids via social media. And he will go into reporting how drugs, alcohol, sexual content, how it's used and how it's being mimicked by our youth. So this is all going to be on the town website, available information. So please take a look. I invite you to come on. There's so much still to be learned about all of this. It's coming at us full force. Right, Jim? Jim and I have had discussions about this. In April, we're really excited to have so many women in the room. We are running a RAD community program for women. This is a realistic self-defense tactics program. It's run at the high school. Again, there's a lot of information here. It's going to be Tuesday and Thursday evenings at Winchester High School Gymnasium. So it's April 5th, 7th, 12th, and 14th. And after some of the incidents, we've done this before, but especially after some of the incidents that have happened recently in Winchester, we just want to reinforce and give people the tactics and so forth necessary. So it's not a martial arts program. It definitely helps educate decision making and resistance. Everybody in the room that wants to sign up, we love to have you. We're working with the Winchester Rec Department to process things. So you might even be getting emails from them promoting it as well. And then we're working with the Winchester High School Adjustment Counselors. As we all keep bringing back to full mental health. The adjustment counselors were during what they call WinWalk. That's at later in the day at the high school student, working with the juniors and seniors, showing the documentary called What Made Maddie Run. Unfortunately, it talks about the struggles and the tragic death of the All-American track star at UPenn. Her name is Madison Harder, and how the pressure of athletics and social media affected her negatively, and unfortunately, she took her life. And next. And then again with mental health, the concerns of starting the conversation about those our youth going off to college, what they need to know about mental health. This is all going to be at the there will be a luncheon at WinCam. They will be hosting, and we're working with the adjustment counselors at the high school. We've done this before, and will be recorded and available. If people do not attend, it will be available for WinCam. And we will have a panel from college reps from private college, community college, and a current college student talking about campus culture, understanding what offerings are on campus for mental health needs. So many people go off to college and they know where the bookstore is and the cafeteria and where all the happy sites are. What do? Are they prepared once they get there? They may have a little bit of history before they get there, or they may end up developing something once they're there. So NAMI has run a program like this before, and we partnered with NAMI initially, but now the adjustment counselors run our own way. Any of you have anybody going off to college in college, we encourage you to come to WinCam on what is it, April 24th? I've got my it's on the website, but I encourage you to come, or you will receive notification that it's available for the 26th. That's my updates.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And before we close out the meeting, but first let me ask, is there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up with this?
No, as I close all the meetings, if anyone in the community needs anything from the Board of Health, vaccines, et cetera, please reach out. And I'd also like to just say to the community at wide, I welcome Ruth and I welcome Greg, and I would really love to work with them. And I hope that our community can give them grace. I know that there's probably some decisive feelings after today, but I hope that they accept you and give you grace and allow you to do good work on this board with me, because that's all I've tried to do since coming onto this board.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And similarly, was going to echo to the public that you can reach us. Our emails, new emails are up there already on the website. We welcome input. As the chair, I certainly would welcome people coming in with emails. It's ruth.boh@gmail.com. And I really want to thank you, Maureen, and thank you, Jen, for the past year and for you 2 years plus for an enormous amount of work during extremely challenging times. And we really appreciate it. We're going to jump on board here. I thank you for working and collaborating today, and going forward, we'll be doing more of this good work. So if there's nothing more to be said, then we'll call for an adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, great. Roll call
Great.
vote. I think,
Aye.
yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you all so
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you all.